Imagine you are the captain of a basketball team. You shout at your players when they miss a shot. You bench them if they don't hustle. You demand absolute respect. In the locker room, the players shrink away from you. They pick up their bags quietly, avoid eye contact, and whisper orders to one another behind your back. They don't love you. They don't even like you. They fear you, but they also hate you. According to Machiavelli, that is failure. Niccolò Machiavelli was a political thinker in Renaissance Italy around 500 years ago. He wrote a short book called The Prince that taught rulers how to seize power and hold on to it. One of his most famous warnings is that it is better for a ruler to be feared than loved, but never hated. To Machiavelli, fear can keep people in line. Hate will make them plot revenge. If you are hated, you risk losing everything you have built. Machiavelli's math is simple. Fear minus hatred equals power. Fear plus hatred equals downfall. If you can scare people a little, but keep their hatred below the fear level, you have control. Once people hate you more than they fear you, they will unite to remove you. They will find a way, even if it brings danger to themselves. Think of a company manager who yells at employees, calls them lazy, and publicly points out their mistakes. At first, employees might do what the manager demands out of fear. They stay late, triple-check reports, and avoid speaking up. But over time, resentment grows. People gossip in break rooms, spread rumors, and secretly apply to other jobs. When a competitor offers kinder leadership and the same salary, those employees leave in droves. The manager thought he had control through fear, but because hatred grew too strong, he lost the team entirely. Contrast that with a manager who still sets high standards and enforces deadlines. She holds team members to account and gives honest feedback. But she also praises good work in private, brings coffee for the team on Monday mornings, and listens when someone has a real problem. The team feels a bit of fear at making mistakes, but they also sense her genuine support. They rarely plan to quit because they respect her balance of toughness and care. A high school teacher offers another example. One teacher in a small town demands absolute silence in class. He hands out red ink corrections on every paper and gives pop quizzes without warning. Students fear him. They dread a low grade more than they dislike homework. But this teacher also stays after school for help sessions, asks students about their lives, and hands out encouraging notes on their desks. They might not love every rule, but they trust his fairness. He succeeds where a cruel boss fails because he inspires respect more than hatred. On the other hand, a teacher in another town punishes late work with 0 credit, locks the classroom door during lectures, and calls out students loudly when they fall asleep. No amount of extra help makes up for that harshness. Students fear missing credit, but they also dread being in her presence. They whisper rude cartoons about her in the hallway, skip class, and transfer to other teachers' homerooms. That teacher forgot Machiavelli's warning. Fear without care breeds hate, and hate leads to chaos. In sports, an Olympic coach pushes athletes through brutal workouts and warns of benching them if they slack. Still, he buys them protein shakes after practice, tells jokes during warm-ups, and attends their family celebrations. Athletes know he cares about their success and their lives. They work hard because they fear missing the Olympic team, but they don't hate him. They stay loyal for years. This mix of firmness and kindness mirrors Machiavelli's vision of the ideal ruler. Commanding yet not cruel. When people in power become hated, alliances crumble. Take a famous corporate story. A CEO laid off half the staff overnight, then flew to a luxury retreat with other executives to toast the quarterly profits. Remaining employees saw managers living in fancy condos while their friends drove cheaper cars and worried about rent. Fear of more layoffs hung like a cloud. Hatred of the CEO spread in hushed tones and anonymous posts. Teams refused to volunteer for new projects. Productivity plunged. The board had to fire the CEO to stop the losses. He misjudged the balance. He used fear, but forgot to temper it with basic humanity. Even in friendships, Machiavelli's lesson applies. Imagine a friend who always threatens to end the friendship unless you agree with him. You may nod in fear of losing him, but inside you fume. You avoid sharing ideas. You stop cracking jokes, and you secretly plan to drift away. True friendship dies when fear outweighs trust. A healthy friendship relies neither on fear nor hate, but on mutual respect and shared loyalty. On a national scale, governments face the same rule. A government that jails critics, shuts down newspapers, and posts tanks at city squares can terrify citizens. They obey. But when that government also locks pensions, censors art, and lets top officials live in luxury, people begin to hate it. Small protests grow into mass movements. Underground networks form. By contrast, a government that enforces laws firmly, holds fair trials, and keeps lines of communication open can maintain order without sparking rebellion. People may fear punishment, but they respect the system as just. A small incident in a quiet neighborhood shows how quickly hatred spreads. A homeowner builds a tall fence that blocks sunlight to the neighbor's garden. The gardener asks politely for more sun. The homeowner refuses and mocks her at community meetings. The neighbors side with the gardener. One day, the homeowner finds the gate lock jammed. Another day, someone sprays the fence with graffiti. Comments on the local social media page call him selfish and bullheaded. What began as a boundary dispute became a battle of hatred. The homeowner lost goodwill, saw property values dip, and eventually tore down the fence to calm the community storm. Fear of fines was never enough. The homeowner's stubborn cruelty invited hatred that crushed him. On social media, influencers also navigate Machiavelli's rule. One influencer bans any negative comment, insults followers who disagree, or publicly blacklists critics. Followers obey silently, but many share parody accounts and memes mocking her. Brands avoid partnership for fear of controversy. The influencer's power dwindles. By contrast, influencers who moderate firmly but respond with polite messages, even to harsh critics, earn genuine loyalty. Their followers see them as fair. They may fear losing access to giveaways, but they respect the influencer's integrity and keep engaging. Sports referees show another angle. A referee who hands out yellow cards at the slightest contact controls the game by fear, but players and fans come to hate that referee. Each whistle sparks boos, and every close call turns into a public argument. The referee becomes the story, not the sport. A better referee uses authority only when the foul is clear and explains key decisions politely. Players fear making sloppy plays, but they respect the referee's fairness and accept mistakes as part of the game. In families, Machiavelli's lesson matters too. A parent who uses harsh punishments, locking kids in rooms, taking away privileges for weeks, may get obedience at first. But children grow resentful. They sneak out, lie to avoid punishments, or lash out in anger. A parent who combines clear rules with loving guidance, using timeouts instead of isolation, giving warnings before punishments, and explaining why rules exist, raises children who learn self-control and respect. The children may fear breaking rules, but they don't hate the parent's heart. A military drill sergeant offers a stark illustration. He barks orders at dawn, demands perfect formation, and punishes mistakes with extra drills. New recruits fear him every second, yet he also shares stories of his own struggles, treats recruits to warm meals after grueling marches, and writes letters of recommendation for those who show effort. The recruits work harder because they fear failure, but they don't resent the sergeant's harsh tone. They see his care behind the orders. That balance forges soldiers who respect discipline without hating the leader who enforces it. Even volunteer groups learn this lesson. A nonprofit organizer demands strict fundraising goals, yells at volunteers for missed calls, and threatens to remove anyone who underperforms. Many volunteers quit, feeling used and unappreciated. Their sockets of anger turn into online rants against the cause. Contrast that with an organizer who sets clear targets but thanks volunteers personally, posts their photos on social media, and offers free t-shirts as tokens of gratitude. Volunteers may fear missing a target, but they do it gladly because they feel valued. The cause grows, not falls, under balanced leadership. A busy restaurant manager shows the rule in action each night. One manager screams at waiters for slow tables, insults cooks for burned dishes, and forces staff to work extra shifts without pay. His restaurant survives on frightened employees, but diners sense the tension and leave. The better manager enforces time limits politely, offers free desserts to help busy servers, and always ends the night with a team round of applause. Staff work hard to avoid falling behind, but they stick around because they feel respected. The restaurant thrives. Open source software projects follow the same math. A project lead who shuts down pull requests without clear feedback, insults contributors for minor errors, or ignores questions quickly loses contributors. The code stagnates. By contrast, a lead who sets clear coding standards, reviews contributions promptly, thanks each contributor by name, and helps them learn from mistakes builds a thriving community. Fear of strict review keeps code quality high, while respect for the lead keeps contributors returning. Even toddlers test Machiavelli's truth. A toddler who is punished harshly for every spilled cup learns to sneak drinks and hide messes. The parent becomes a figure of fear, and the toddler's resentment grows. A parent who sets clear rules, spilling means a quick mop, and then plays a gentle game afterward, teaches the toddler to be careful without breeding anger. The child fears the spill but loves the cleanup game, and the parent-child bond stays strong. At its core, Machiavelli's message is about balance. Power without empathy breeds hatred. Empathy without power breeds chaos. The sweet spot lies in inspiring a bit of fear of real consequences, while showing enough respect to keep hatred at bay. Fear of losing status or facing penalties keeps people honest. Respect and small acts of goodwill keep hatred from taking root. When you look at leaders through history, the rule stands clear. Some tyrants ruled with iron fists and lasted only a few years before violent overthrow. Others ruled firmly but listened to their people and lasted for decades. They enforced laws, punished betrayal, but also built roads, sponsored festivals, and met with citizens. Their people might fear them, but they did not hate them. Revolts were rare. To apply Machiavelli's brutal math in your daily life, start small. Watch how people talk about you when you're not there. Do they whisper insults? Do they avoid honest conversations with you? If so, you may have tipped into hatred. Next, look for tiny ways to show respect. A private compliment, a small concession, or a sincere apology when you've been wrong. Over time, this balance creates stability in teams, families, friendships, and nations. Machiavelli's words may sound harsh, but they are a guide to humane leadership under power. He does not celebrate cruelty. He warns against it. His math reminds us that when people truly fear you, they must not hate you. Otherwise, fear will become a weapon against you. Balance is hard, but it makes leadership possible. Imagine that same basketball coach again. He yelled hard in practice, but on Fridays he ordered pizza for everyone. He pushed players to their limits, then offered rides home. His players feared his whistle but loved his loyalty. They won championships and stuck by him for years. That coach practiced Machiavelli's brutal math without ever reading The Prince. You can too. Think of fear as a tool, not a weapon. Think of kindness as an investment, not a weakness. Get the balance right, and you succeed. Fail at it, and you get remembered not for your strength, but for your cruelty. And eventually, you lose everything. Seek wisdom,